so let's go over some actual lap data now. I have been loving my aim. I would say I've become more consistent because of it, and I'll show you in a second, but I try to look at like the data and before a track event, talk to some buddies, and then just remember certain pieces and be like, hey, you need to get in the throttle earlier here, or whatever the case may be. But again, I was not as consistent. I did not hit my lap times that I preferred. So let me also preface, I am not a race studio expert, but I'm going to click up here first, and let's just go to what we just did this weekend here, right? So we had 3 sessions. You can see here the best of that session. There we go. The best I ran that day was a 134.7. I'm really not super inconsistent, regardless of the heat of the day. And I mean, at the peak, it was like 92 degrees. So we're just going to double click this. It's going to take me into some analysis of it. And immediately, this might look a little crazy, a little overwhelming. Over here on the left, I'm just going to quick say this is all the sensors that the Honda feeds to the ECU, or the Honda feeds to the dash, and it's all recorded live with all the lap data from the GPS and everything. Down here is the track map, which I can zoom in a little bit. We'll get to it. Down here is the laps. You can see like it's highlighting currently my lap 1 as that was the best, and I can make it and go here and I can view each individual lap where I ran a 135.2, 135.7, but we're going to let it just stay on my best lap of that day right now. And up here, this is kind of crazy, but this is how Race Studio by default is breaking this track up into turns and corners. So it's saying there's a total of like 18 different straights, corners, different positions of the track, if that makes any sense. And as I move my cursor around, if you look at the bottom left, you can see my car just kind of driving around the track, and it's displaying here, you know, what the current RPM is and whatnot. So if I go though to, we're going to display split times. So you can see up here, let's shrink this a little bit. Zoom out. So if I highlight like right there, I'm on, this is what it's calling, we'll just call it like a turn 7. And as I move around it, if you look at that, you can see real close to the track map how it's showing me slowly how I went around the track. And if you want to get a little more closer on that, there's another view we can go to, but you get the idea. You can see the line that I took. And then up here, you can see, right, so we know my first lap was my best time, and I ran a 5.535 is what took me to complete this little section 7. But if you look below it, I guess that was the best. But on the certain sections, you'll see that maybe a certain area was faster than my best lap. And it gives me my best theoretical, which is a 133.8. So if I would have tied all 18 of these pieces together perfectly, or my best out of this session, I in theory would have got a 133.8. So this can be a little overwhelming because there's a lot of turns going on. If you really want to analyze it that way, you can. Otherwise, there's probably another way of doing this. But I'm going to come back here. I'm going to select from my track map. And if you notice, see all these little different colors? Those are all different segments. I'm just going to do track splits. You notice there's a couple now. Click OK. Saying you want to do it to everything on that track day. You say yes. I'll go back. Now it only broke it into 4 sectors, which, to be honest, is a lot easier to do a quick analysis on. And at the track, I use Race Chrono for a quick assessment, kind of similar, and I match this to what Race Chrono kind of looks like. So now you can kind of see real quick here. Let's just go to like turn 4. Barely did it, but you can see my best was a 27.307, but if you look on my third lap, I did it in 27.306. My best theoretical went to a 134.7, so it got a little smaller because it's not grabbing as many variables to break into it. So in and of itself, this data is kind of, I don't want to say useless, but I can't do much with it by just this session. I can look individually at the session, but let's go back to, let's say, March, this winter practice that we did. I ran a 133.6 was my best that day. Let's compare it to my lap. So right now we're displaying RPMs. It's cool, not cool. I'm not really too concerned with that value, honestly. Let's go with, I want to view the GPS speed. Don't care about the Honda speed because the tires, everything else, the gearing or the mile per hour that the Honda is seeing is not exactly the same as GPS speed. I'm going to go with GPS speed. We'll go with some G-forces just because I do want to view TPS personally, because it'll at least let me know, like, hey, when I'm detecting this corner, I need to get on the gas a lot sooner. I'm just being a wimp or whatever the case, I'm just not getting on it soon enough. They'll kind of just give me that, or maybe I'm getting on it just fine. And let's view map. And I say the map sensor is good in this scenario because, in case you watched the last video, I went and got tuned on E85. I think I was only running like 10 pounds this event versus the like 7 that I've been running. I'll turn it up a little bit more. But this is important because I think this is going to help me see something, or just see something internally with my own self. All right, so here we are. Excuse me, reorganized a little bit, but you can see I had a TPS, map, GPS speed, and then some G-forces. The maroon color is what we did the other, or like the winter practice. That was my 133.6, and the 134.7 is what we did this last event. So you can see up here it's broke into the 4 sectors, so I can kind of like fast forward through them a little bit. If you zoom in, you can do some other things too. Down here you can kind of select which lap you want. I'm just staying on the bests of what it did. So let's see here. So I can see right here on the straight here, oh, excuse me, they are tied together. It's kind of important. I have it so the laps are in sync with each other. Even though one's faster than the other, this is where I can, if you look at the map down below, I can move around and you'll never see one of the little cars go away from the other one. That way I can go right to the same spot, same corner, and look at the same exact data that I did in that spot versus like having to go back and forth. So here we go. We can see right here down the front straight. We'll just stop it right here. You can see right there. Conversation on the current event. Looks like I was at 11.7 PSI. I had a little more boost this event in 4th. 3rd is like 10 PSI. I'm going to pump the numbers up just a little bit for the next event too. But and you can see I was at 8.8 pounds of boost previously, my faster lap. Both were at about 100% throttle, same mile an hour, but you can see at least towards the end when I started braking there, looks like I gained a little bit more mile an hour. Cool, whatever. Let's look for some deviations now, like inside this. Like I can see right here real quick, don't know what it is, I'm just gonna click it. I can see the TPS for whatever reason is at like 100%, and I'm only giving it like almost part throttle here on the lap I just did the other day. So we look here at the boost, and that's probably why. So it looks like I was making 8 pounds of boost the other day, and you know the winter event I was making 5.6. So the car's probably making a little more power, and maybe I was just being, I don't know, kind of a sissy, if you will, and I just was not on the gas. Because what's interesting about that is if you look at the mile per hour, 66 and 65, and if you look, I kind of just coasted it out there. So interesting, it looks like I can give the car less throttle, get to the same mile an hour. As we can see right here, look, I kind of hit it right at the same point. Looks like I'm just hitting the same mile an hour with less throttle because I have more power with the boost level. And what I should have done there was just stayed. If I could have matched throttles, I would have went faster. But if you look, I'm just coasting through here. Look down here, I'm coming out of the turn, and I'm just, Tom, if you're watching this, I know you always tell me, I'm just coasting. Like, look at the mile per hour. I'm coasting this whole way. Look at the throttle, 27, 30. I'm just chilling. This is a turn where I can make up a lot of time, and I already know that. I need to just follow through. But it's interesting to look at all this coast. There's no spikes of any acceleration. Again, look, I'm just hanging out 77. What are we at right here? I get to about 75 miles an hour. Whoops. And I just coast. But I don't think that's where I lost a lot of time. Versus my 133 versus my 134. You can look here. I mean, yeah, I'm like 2 miles an hour slower there for a split second. But let's kind of cruise around here. Let's see, since we know I was faster on my maroon, my red lap, where am I over it? Like, look here, here you go. You can see I'm at 45 and 42. Now I know you're going to be like, that's not a lot of mile per hour. Maybe not. But when you're over like 1.7 miles of a track, if you're consistently like 2 miles an hour faster, like in every single spot, it adds up. If I've learned anything, it adds up a lot more than you would think it does. And if you look here, it's very consistent. Right here, I'm at like 42 versus 46, and you can look at the mile an hour right over here on the right. I'm just constantly, as I'm coming around what we call turn 3-4, I'm just consistently faster. And I'm actually not on the throttle really anymore. Right here, I was maybe on the throttle a little bit more in the green. Like if you notice on the green right here, as I'm exiting the turn, I'm actually 100% throttle, and on my slower lap, was not on the throttle. So it's kind of interesting, right? Like I was on the throttle sooner, but I just sort of, again, just hung out. And on the, looks like I just maintained more speed. For no real, I got to a point and I just probably felt comfortable and I just continued at it. There was nothing crazy, but you can see this whole area right here. You can see here, it looks like the green from the other day. It looks like I may be coming into this hairpin, which terrifies me. You're going head on at a tire wall and a brick wall, whatever. It looks like you can tell by the speed. It looks like I broke maybe just a hair later. So that's kind of cool. You put the mile an hour, like I'm at 35 versus 29. You can see that there. But then look here on the TPS. On my slower lap here, you're about to see, I'm in the throttle for like, I'm already, like, I'm not even in the middle of the turn yet. I'm already 100% throttle. I'm just smashing it. And the car obviously, I mean, it took it, right? So I need to be on the throttle. As soon as I have that wheel turn, I need to just slam it. Because I usually stay in, and I can display it, but I'm usually in third gear. I'm lugging the car around it. Because in second gear with the turbo, it just sort of, the higher RPMs, it just blows the tires off. So, but you can look here. Watch my throttle here. As I come out of this turn, I'm staying on the throttle 100%, 100%. Probably right here because I'm starting to turn and the wheels are kind of like a little loose. I'm feathering the throttle like I'm still basically at 100%. As for whatever reason, I dipped down to 27%. I just got off of it. I just got out of the throttle. The car does unload there, but why'd I do it? I'm not sure. And you can look here, look at the speed again coming out of it. So we both dip down, we both meet, both laps eventually meet at roughly, we'll just say, I can zoom in a little bit, but let's say they're 31 miles an hour right there, almost in the middle of the turn, but I stay on the throttle on the 133 lap. And as we go, look at the mile per hour, 37, 33, 41, 37. Now the green's probably catching up because I'm doing 100% throttle, as you can see here. It's probably catching up because I've got more power. It's only making 3.8 pounds of boost versus 5.4, but I made exponentially more linear power with the 85. Eventually we meet, and I just sort of, here I hit the limiter, another thing we'll talk about later. Here's the maroon lap right here. It's a pretty significant difference in mile per hour coming out of this turn over here. You can see here, I'm at 52 versus 47. It just kind of is what it is, right? It's a very interesting analysis. But you can see I'm pretty consistent around here, but I see those couple like right here area, getting on the throttle a little bit sooner here, staying on it more here. I mean, that's equivalent from a 134.7 to a 133.6. You just kind of keep those things in mind. And then again, we can go back to the split times if we wanted to, and you can view like that 133. My best theoretical was a 133.5. So that lap session, I was pretty. It's just that session was just overall one of my best I did that day. I mean, let's see if there's anything in here where I was faster, if that makes any sense. So we got all 17s. I got a 16, which was faster there. 27.1. Nope, we're faster on that too. So it looks like 20.45. Now, every sector, if you will, 29.0. Yeah, every sector that day, I can see on my 133 lap, I was faster than my 134 lap. If that doesn't make any sense to you, just try to think about it for a second. Just because a lap is faster does not mean I didn't do a certain sector faster, which is how it kind of calculates your best theoretical. Now, I'm going to close this out entirely. Brian, which I don't know if I posted the S2000 video yet or not, but a good friend of mine, he's running a name Solo. Here's his data. I'm going to pull up one of his 130.8s. He's, for lack of better words, a stock-powered S2000, great driver, tons of experience driving, and he's been driving that car for like 10 plus years. Very comfortable, I'll say that, to say the least. So we're going to open up his lap. Now, granted, he doesn't have all the ECU data coming in, but let's go. We can get his lateral acceleration, and we can get his speed. That's kind of good enough for right now. Don't really care about the internal battery. Now, let's just grab my let's grab my 133 lap, just because it's faster and it'd be closer to compare than what I just did last event. So we're going to double click that. Here we are, right? Data is going to be all over because we're doing a little bit of drivers, but again, everything's still in sync. Let's look here on the back straight. Here's what's crazy. It's kind of embarrassing, but here it is, man. I'm just going to be honest here. Here you go. I'm the green again. So 133. We're down the back straight right here. Let's make it a little bigger for you guys. Right here, there is a little bump that we talk about stopping at. But look at this. I'm at 96 miles an hour on like low power. He's in a stock motor S2000. He is still, follow his maroon line, he's still accelerating. When he hits eventually 95 miles an hour, he's quite a bit past me. And I mean, there's a point, I'm at 79. I'm already laying on the brakes because that is what it is, right? Even when we come down to right as we enter the turn, he is carrying 60 miles an hour. I'm carrying 57. Exiting it. You can see, like, right, here's my green line again. I've got a lot of power on tap versus him if I want to use it. If I should use it. And you can see my green line catches back up to his maroon, but look at that. Look, there's my comfortable zone. This is disgusting to look at. I can't help but just laugh, like, at the amount of time that I'm leaving on the table. Here we are, right? We're coming up to this turn. I accelerate, and I get to a comfortable, for me, 76. Daily, just kind of cruising around. Brian is still accelerating. Look at this. There we are, just kind of cruising. There we are, coming around that turn. He's at 85, 86. Look at Brian go. Peaks out at 89. I've just been cruising at 77 miles an hour coming up to this next turn. Do you know how much time is lost there? That's insane. For conversation's sake, when we both hit 76 miles an hour, we're at 11.33 seconds into the lap. By the time we're both kind of braking about at a similar spot, it looks like, we're at 17.9 seconds. So you can do that quick math. That is a pretty good span of time to make up some time. And here I am just part throttle, just going to get the groceries, I guess, for lack of better words. And Brian's matted out. If I was matted out, granted, I don't know if I could go around there as fast as it is, but I could probably at least get to his speed for sure. And if we brake, again, look at that. I'm braking exponentially heavier. There's a point where I get down to the bottom of my brake and it looks like I'm at 54, 55. I mean, this is just insane. It's just, now there's no reason, again, if you look at these peaks when we're like coming out of turns here like this, if we are even, he's actually got more speed coming out of it by like 4 miles an hour. But I get to a faster speed that's comfortable to me just because of the sheer power. And then I, for whatever reason, I get on the brakes here. And Brian's like, nah, man, I'm going to keep going. I got time to make. And he just does. It's pretty cool data to look at. I mean, here we go. Look at this short straight. I said I run out of gearing. I need to go to fourth. I run out of gearing here. He's still accelerating. And again, by the time he gets on the brakes, I'm already on the brakes. Now, let's see where he's got some crazy difference right here. Where's this out in the track? This is me having a crazy difference. Again, I max out my gear. He doesn't get to hit my mile an hour. We're like 8 mile an hour difference, and I slam on the brakes. And when we are entering the last turn of the track, Brian's entering it at 74 miles an hour, and I am like into it at 65, like a whole 10 miles an hour below him. And then if you quickly look upon a little bit after the exit, we meet up pretty quick because I have power and he doesn't. If I could just, in a nutshell, if I could just carry some of the speed that he is, and I'm sure I can, if I could just grow a pair and carry it, I'm solid. I just need to work on that. I mean, let's just look for shits and giggles here. In the middle of the turn, G-forces, and he's got a little bit more than me, 1.1 at 1.0, like, coming around this, he's got more G's, and he's going around it, things faster than me, but I mean, nothing crazy. Just super neat to look at this data. You can use this in many ways. If you want to look at split times, I think I already did this the other day, but there is I'm not faster in any 4 of these sectors than Brian is, which, I mean, I would expect with how separate our lap times are, without a doubt, but just interesting data. There's so much stuff this thing can do, but I like to use it right now comparing to myself, and I'm really fortunate Brian gave me his lap data, because if anything, it's just heavily embarrassing, but it gives me something that I need to work on and aim for. So one more last thing I'll show you, and I'll end it here. So, like, let's go to the peak of the day here where we're in 135. There's many ways you can get about this. I'm just going to do it quick. Let's just see what the weather was at that time. Just generally curious. I knew it was hot. It says it was 89.2 at that moment. I mean, you can see it fluctuated a bit. There's all the stats, humidity, blah, 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 blah. The GPS that was picking up, right? So let's just call it an even 90 degrees outside that day. Pretty hot. Not going to argue that. We're just going to open this. And because it grabs all the ECU data, and I've got like an oil temp sensor in the pan, in case I'm just curious and I want to track some stuff, I can just give it the oil temp. Let's look at ECTs, intake temps. I mean, that's good enough for now, just to give you guys a rough idea, right? So here we are, starting with the first lap. I'm just going to check down here. Whoops. Well, I can do all of them. There you go. There's the first lap. So here's the entire session's worth here, right? So as I rolled out, granted the car's already done 2 sessions. Where are we? ECT It's going to be hard to show here. Hold on, let me unclick some things here. My reference lap is the first lap. And we're going to view, let's make this a better color so we can kind of see it. I'll make it orange just for whatever. So the orange is the first session, or the first lap, and then the fourth is my cooldown. So if we started, right, you can see I started this lap session, the oil time was 159, ended at, well, at this point, 234, which is basically the end of the lap. Basically the start of my first lap, end of my third lap going into my cooldown. But I mean, you can just look, the ECTs, everyone's talking about cooling. The car got to 204. IATs got to 147. That is definitely high. I'm going to work on that a little bit, just to see if I can get that down. If you want to just follow the first lap, again, just watch over, here you can see intake temps. Everything's kind of going up a little bit. IATs you can see sort of fluctuate quite a bit, just because whatever, more air being rushed in. But I guess my point being is you can just follow these sensors in time with the lap data and just sort of see where you're at, what's going on. I'm going to end the video here. If everybody likes this data, let me know. I'll try to do some more videos, maybe a little more in depth when I do the next event. Right, the more stuff I can do, so like I pulled fourth gear a couple times that short straight, so I've got a session with some data on it. I might try to do it next event, just so I can see is fourth gear helping me out or not. If I yank it on the short straight, everyone's going to say yes. Data will kind of be, my information there. But I appreciate everybody for watching. Any questions, comments, concerns, leave it in the comments below. Stay tuned for the next video.